Hey, 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 guess who's back? This is our second hour of our the Mad Chatter Show. This is DJ Maya, and I have my amazing co-host guest, DJ Pooh Bear. Say hello.
Hey, hey, hello.
Hello, hello. And so you have tuned into wvew.org. For those of you who are tuned in online, I appreciate you. So blessings and infinite love to you who are tuned in. Check out the website. Also, if you're local and you're listening on the radio, thank you for tuning in as well. You have tuned into WVEW LP, Brattleboro's community radio station. And those that are listening online on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, and follow everybody that's on my panel today. We have an amazing guest today. I just want you to know it's very special guest. So I'm going to let DJ Pooh Bear introduce who he's brought today to the panel. Say hello. Who do we have?
This week's guest is somebody, it's a fellow Albertan. She's just up the road here in Red Deer. She hosts not one, but two podcasts, Quantum Guide Show and Angels and Aliens. She's also a personal health coach, and somebody that I would go as far as to call a friend right here in Alberta is Karen Holton of KarenHoltonTV.
Wonderful. Welcome to our podcast, Karen. I have been waiting for this day. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you so much for bringing me on your radio show. I'm thrilled. Thank you.
Yay. Wonderful. Dawn, I'm going to let you start this interview because I know you know a lot about what she does. And do you want to introduce a little bit about?
Yeah. Karen has some Zen orgone generators, a large variety of crystals for personal use. She's a personal health coach, and she is actually just revamping her program to help people that are going through ascension symptoms and just coming into their awareness. And Spinja and I actually are going to be starting that next Sunday. If you wanted to give everybody a quick overview on that, well, I know you need a little bit, but it's a great program that anybody just kind of rubbing their eyes or even, yawning is definitely going to want to look into.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So I received the information in a download. I was told very specifically that I was not to start a cult or a religion, that I wasn't supposed to start a group around it, that I was not to do it for profit. It had to be absolutely free. It had to be basically downstepped into common everyday English so that anybody irregardless of their religious background, their education level, their culture, as long as they could understand basic English, that they'd be able to understand and use this program. It's very comprehensive. I broke it down into 9 steps that are loosely affiliated with the 9 chakras. We actually have more than that. Most people are familiar with the 7 chakras, but we also have one below our feet and one above our head. So I've included those as well to correspond to each level. And it's really quite comprehensive. It's a lot of information. And you start at step 9 and you work your way back to step 1, which I don't know why, but that's how it was given to me. And that's how I created the program. But the first 3 steps 9, 8, and 7 are to help you open your mind. So the first one has quite a lot to do with what we would call quantum physics and understanding the complexity of the world socially and in every other way that we live in, because we're offered a dual system where things are up or down, black or white, good or bad, and really the world is so much more complex than that. Step 8 is all about taking good care of the temple body. So things like self-massage, looking after our chakras, taking salty baths with essential oils, affirmations, all kinds of things that help us to get really grounded and start to look at what we believe in. And step 7 is about our male-female energies and creating a balance so that we're more complete people and not just following gender stereotypes. And then the next 3 steps are all about detoxification, because we live in a very toxic world. So step 6 is actually divided into 3 lessons: external detoxification, internal detoxification, and emotional detoxification. Step 5 is all about food. What is real food? Why we would want to eat real food? What's not real food? And I don't support any one specific system of eating. You can be vegan or vegetarian, you can be paleo, you can be carnivore, keto. It doesn't really matter as long as you're eating real food. And how real food is another source of universal love energy that we can help to make our light bodies stronger. And then step 4 is about how to detoxify from the construct, which is more of a the way we were programmed, how to step out of that programming so that we're not enslaved by it. And then the last 3 steps, steps 3, 2, and 1, are all about how to manifest the life we always wanted, how to work in harmony with the seasons and energies, also how to create our own framework that we can hang our spirituality on. So this doesn't have anything to do with religion. If you have religion and it works for you, that's fine. But it's a framework where we can create our own field and our own, choose our own guides and bring in the energies that are going to support us, regardless of our spiritual background. And then the last lesson is step 1, and it's some exercises to help really boost our spiritual potential. And again, this has nothing to do with dogma or religion. It's about ways that we can become stronger, not just energetically, but even morally and ethically, and ways that we can just supercharge our life. And it literally, by the time you get to step 9, you're able to open portals of reality by doing these exercises. We may not get in the immediate result what we're expecting, but we find all these other aspects of our life start to open up like portals, and we start to have all these amazing experiences. So I think for those that are newly awakening, it's a really important program. So it helps us to get grounded, open our minds, detoxify, and then learn some spiritual principles that'll really help us to get where we want to go. And that can be wherever we want. So I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm updating it. I updated it in 2017, and now the 3rd updating I'm doing now. I've been working every day on it. Because, what I learned changes my understanding of the original content that I was given. And the other thing is, I was just given this like in a moment. It was dropped like a packet right into my brain, and it unfolded over time. It took me 2 years just to kind of get a sense of what the different elements that I needed to include would be. It's really quite comprehensive. Anyway, it's available for free on my website, but I would encourage everyone just to give it a couple of weeks, because the new version is coming out, and thankfully Dawn and Spinja are going to let me teach it to them, and then we'll record it and we'll put that on and help people to understand how it works too, and any questions they have probably other people would have.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because just the overview you give of it, like a lot of people know that my awakening started in September, and there's a lot of the time that I feel like I'm just running around the etheric Walmart like a little kid that got away from his mom, just touching all the shit I'm not supposed to be touching, right? Like I'm messing around with astral travel and no idea what I'm doing, and people are going, "Are you nuts?" And I'm like not doing the best things for my sleep. So you really, when you start to come into your abilities and you're just waking up and nobody is there to guide you, you are like an untethered child, and you will F around and find out, because there's been a couple of times I've been thundered back into my bed from playing around in the astral.
Yeah.
And that's something you and I share. Is I'll give the explanation so you don't really have to go into it, is a transdimensional being Her and I have very similar dream states from what we understand of each other, wherein it's almost like when you hear the experiences of the 20 and back and the 5 and back and the 10 and back in the secret space program, where you can live an entire existence in the matter of a night. Like, I've passed entire lifetimes in a one sleep cycle. I've been a child, I've been a young adult, I've lived, I've died, I've been through everything. And then it's literally just the next day here, right? And I know that's
Exactly.
not the way most people dream. Do you want to go into your experiences with that, or did you still want to go into your program? Sorry, I got a little excited. I
No,
got
no,
on.
no, I'm pretty much done talking about the program. And
Okay.
but I also wanted to say that how I got started in all of this, I've been having transdimensional experiences and paranormal experiences all my life, but I ran from them. I ran to religion because I was always taught that was evil, that was bad, that I was opening myself up to demons, that I would be lost forever, God would turn his back on me. And just through fear, I never really allowed myself to embrace my gifts. And it wasn't till I had the visit from an angel or angels. Do you want to hear briefly what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it happened at a very, very low point in my life. I was a single mom raising 2 kids, and their father and I had been divorced for quite a while, and he was married to someone else. And he and his wife approached me and said that they wanted a chance because he had basically not had a lot of contact with the kids. They wanted a chance to have the kids go and live with them for a while so that they could have a chance to be parents and have more participation. And me, I thought, finally the children are going to get the love from their dad that they've been missing. You know, I didn't want to step in their way. I didn't want them to go, but I didn't want to hold them back from something that I thought would enrich their lives. So I agreed to let them go. And after they left to go, then my former husband made it so that I couldn't see them and they couldn't see me. And it just tore my heart out. And so I went into a really low state of grieving. At the same time, I didn't realize that I had moved into a house where a man who lived there previously had killed himself in a very, very specific way. Now, I didn't find this out till 2 years later, but I was having the overwhelming urge to kill myself. And so what I believe happened was because I was in such a low vibratory state of grieving that I somehow tapped into the energy, the residue energy of the man who had killed himself. And I got the imprint. And then I was compelled to want to kill myself the same way. So the night before I was going to do it, I had this angelic visitation. And it wasn't like a being like a human. It was like 1,000 points of light, all within my field of vision. I was fully awake. I wasn't on any substances. And all these points of light had light flashing out to the sides that gave them the illusion of wings. And they, or it, because I don't know, spoke to me in perfect unison. So it was like 1,000 voices speaking as one solitary voice. And they asked me why I was thinking of leaving, you know, my journey, that I had important things to do here. And I said, oh, I don't think so. I'm so miserable. Nobody should have to suffer like this. I want out. This is terrible. I can't live without my children. Like, I was really in a bad state. And they said, whatever, said to me, well, you can leave if you want to, because there are exit points. Life is never meant to be unbearable. And, you know, if I wanted to, I could go, that it wasn't going to be held against me in any way. But if I chose to stay, they'd give me a gift. And I went, oh my God, what do I ask for? What kind of a gift? They said, well, that's for you to decide. And I went, oh my God, who gets offered gifts by angels? Like, I have to think about this. I don't know. I have to think about this. And they said, well, when you're ready, just say it out loud and we will know, and we will give you your gift. And but choose something that will help you. And I said, okay, thank you. And then it faded away, and I was up all night because I couldn't sleep after that. It was something else. And the next day I went for a walk and I thought about it. What do I want? What do I want? And for the next 2-3 days, I kept thinking, what do I want? I thought, well, if I had a lot of money, that would solve a lot of problems for me. But then I went, no, that's not it. I just knew that wasn't it. And I thought, well, maybe if I was really famous or really popular or really beautiful, or, I don't know, something like that, maybe that would help. And then I went, no, that's not it either. I just knew that wasn't it. And I pondered and walked for miles every day. And about 3 or 4 days later, it just hit me what I needed. It's going to make me cry. Sorry. It's just so incredible what happened for me. So I realized, sorry, I have to pull myself together here. So I realized what I needed was wisdom. If I had wisdom, I would know how to be a good person, how to sort out my life, how to get my kids back. I knew what I needed was wisdom. And so I asked out loud, I said, I'm ready. I know what I want for my gift. I want wisdom. Please give me wisdom. I really need it. And then this is the really weird part. So after this, they said, do you want the fast method or the slow method? And I went, I want the fast method, please. And I thought they would just pour this wisdom into me and I'd become super smart and really with it, right? No. So I asked for the fast method. And what happened is I actually had a series of all kinds of very challenging events happen in my life that gave me everything I needed to be able to develop the wisdom so that I had it. It was like a fast track, but a really scary, involved health crises and social crises, and things just happened so fast. But boy, did I learn a lot. And even to the point where I ended up in the hospital with a botched surgery. I was in there for over a month. I couldn't have anything by mouth for over a month, and it was really bad. It was touch and go whether I was even going to live. But what happened was, at that point, I went, wait a minute, I can't get out to get spiritual support. So I said to my angels and my guides, I need you in here with me in my heart. I need you inside with me so that I don't have to go anywhere to have you and to have the contact I needed. And that was sort of sink or swim time for me to actually, is this all bullshit? Is this all just wishful thinking, or is this the real stuff? Is this, this was my sink or swim point. And then after that, still had a lot of shitty stuff happen, but boy, did I learn a lot. But getting back to the kids, 6 months after they left, I ended up getting them back. I'm not going to talk about how, but I got them back, and they spent the rest of their childhood with me. And so that was wonderful. So that all happened. And then I started having all this spontaneous knowing and downloads and just knowing stuff that I had no way of knowing. It just was there. And I knew it was real. And all of that happened before my ET experience. And so that sort of set me all up. And around the time of my ET experience, like I said, it was 3 months every single night. It was a consecutive experience. I went back to where I left off the night before. I was gone in a single night. It could be weeks, months. I was involved in a resettlement program, in a pre-settlement program. I became an exopolitical ambassador. And it was incredible, just incredible. I wake up in the morning just disgusted that I was back in my life, because living that way aboard the big ship and having all this adventure and these incredible friends that were so spiritually advanced and everything, and then having to come back to the mundane, it was really hard on my head. And in the beginning, I thought I was crazy. And then after a while, I realized I'm not crazy. Maybe I'm dreaming. But I thought, no, I've never had anything like this happen in dreams. Like, it was very logical, methodical, you know, and laid out for 3-month period. Interestingly, I was not using any substances, not even cannabis at the time. And so it wasn't that. And eventually I accepted that it was a real thing. But I was a mess like for 2 years after that, because it completely shook up my paradigm. Yeah.
Wow. That's so crazy. We have a lot of things in common. What I love about the times we're living in now is that we've come a long way in the last 15 years, I would say. 20 maybe, but 15, even 10. And when I first started waking up, I didn't have anybody to guide me. I didn't have nobody. And everybody thought I was crazy, you know, batshit crazy, let's just say. And but you know what? Every time I wouldn't stop talking. I would tell my mom, you know, Mom, I'm going to a Christian church. I don't want to go to Catholic church. I'm going to finish the Catholic to make you happy, but I'm going to Christian school as soon as I finish. And then I did. I switched my religion. Next thing I know, everybody followed me from Catholic to Christian. Then I said, all right, now I think I'm going to go to Buddhism. You know, and then I just kept going Hinduism, and then I fell into yoga. And then yoga was a whole nother level. And it took me away from religion and made me more spiritual. And then I started realizing all these gifts that I had this whole time, didn't even know. My family thought I was possessed by demons because I saw things and couldn't explain to them. I saw a portal open when I was 3. I have memories since I was 6 months old. You know, I had necromancy, all these things. And I didn't have nobody to guide me or tell me. And so the fact that you're putting something together to help people, that is so amazing. All I had was Eckhart Tolle. The Power of Now, right? That's his book. I had that book. It changed my life. And the other guy that does the 4 Agreements. Those are the 2 books that I had. And then Dolores Cannon fell into my lap, and that was all I had.
Yeah.
But
so,
you know,
in creating this program, I made it basically, I also crafted it to be what I needed and didn't have, so that other people could just have it, use it. There's no barrier. That's why it's for free, because I didn't want people to be held back. You know, there's a lot of great programs out there. All you need is $200 or $600 or $800, or like, and for some people, they just don't have it, you know. So that's why, so yeah. So I'm really excited about it. And there is the 2.0 is available now on my website for sure. Like it's valuable, but the 3.0 is definitely cleaner, tighter, better graphics. The layout is much easier, and people can copy it and share it and knock themselves out, whatever, you know, if they find it useful, or even if they don't want to use it, it'll stimulate their imagination to come up with their own solutions. It's sort of like a jumping off point, right?
Oh, absolutely.
beautiful.
Just listening to you recount your first parts of your awakening, just the parallels in what I'll call our human existence program. Like you were talking about what your ex did with the children. My mom fell on some very emotionally hard times after her separation from my father and entrusted him with us for a couple of months. My mom finally got her shit together, went to pick us up, and found out that he had given us up for adoption 6 weeks earlier.
Oh my God.
Because this is back in the roaring 80s, right? Where if you weren't in court, there was no rules. So my mom just trustingly handed us over to our father. And when she went back to get us, we were infested with like head lice and scabies and like poor hygiene from this foster home that we'd been left in, just completely unattended. These people were just trying to get a check, right?
Wow.
Like just some of the horrific human program that we are run through to traumatize starseeds it's crazy because you're like, that could only have happened to me. But then you listen to somebody that's just off to the left of you, and you're like, wait a minute, that sounds exactly like me, but different players in a different situation, but the same shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. Yeah, it's not until you start seeing these little quirks that you realize that a lot of what we experience in the human condition is a program, right? And
Mhm.
Maya and I were discussing this yesterday, I believe, about, what percentage of our brain do we use. In my personal take on it, it's okay, if we do use the 5 to 10% that we're told we do, and 90% is our imagination, our dream state, our creativity. Well, then logically, if somebody was 10% away and 90% another way, I would say the person is the 90%. So if what exists in your dream state is controlled by that larger portion of your brain, isn't that reality?
Yep. Absolutely. And the other thing too is I've learned to know from my heart, not my thinking brain, and to harmonize the two, and not let my thinking brain interfere with my heart, not let my heart interfere with my thinking brain, because it's a whole more information. Actually, we have brain tissue in our heart, and we have brain tissue in our digestive tract. And so the gut gives you those feelings, what you need to know. But I also participated in a really cool program aboard the big ship where I learned how to develop my telepathic skills. It was pretty amazing too. So that was really cool. I don't know if you want to hear about that or if I'm interrupting too quick.
No, I would definitely want to hear about it.
Okay, so on the big ship, just so everybody knows, it's not on Mars and it's not in outer space. It's actually in trans-dimensional space. So if you think of a Venn diagram where there's a whole bunch of different dimensional realities and they all overlap at one spot, and that's where the big ship is. So that way they can easily import people from all different dimensional realities. There's no travel time, there's no distance getting us there. It's amazing. And all the beings look very much like us. Like if you saw them walking down the street, it wouldn't really register that they weren't human. Like except a lot of them are taller and larger framed for sure. So but they're in exquisite health. They're at our next state of development. They're amazing. They're intelligent. They're spiritual. They're mild. They're kind. They're loving. It's just a beautiful, beautiful environment. So anyway, it started in my orientation, which was, the first weeks that I was there, which happened all in one night of my time. I was given a piece of technology. Well, everyone's given their own quarters or room or place where you can go and think about things or just be away from it all and gather yourself or sleep at night, things like that. But I was given a piece of technology, and it was really just like a young girl's headband, plastic headband. It was just a band, like a U-shaped band, and it went over the back of my head, and the two arms rested on the side of my head, and then there was a little disc-shaped thing that went right on my temples. And at that point, I was able to communicate directly with the big ship. The big ship, by the way, is alive. It's not a metallic technology. It's actually a living technology. And I could communicate directly with the big ship and participate in the training program, because nobody speaks English, nobody speaks language. They're all really tidy around their mouths. They are not at all, like, they do gesture and they do make some sounds, but they don't use language. It's all telepathy. That's the universal language that everybody uses. So anyway, in this, I was given training, and it basically had 3 levels. And the first level was very simple, where I was given the image of a shape, and then I would think of the shape and just copy it, right, until that got comfortable. And then after that, I was, it got a little bit more complicated, where I got to see shapes interacting with each other, and I got to copy that. And the actual language of telepathy is not words. it's a whole system of sensations. It's images, it's shapes and symbols, it's body sensations, it's emotions, and you learn to sort of read that language, and that's how you communicate. So I did really quite well at it, but the part that was really hard for me was when it came to transmitting. So I can receive quite easily, but transmitting was really hard. I was in there, from the feedback I got from my ET friends, I was like super loud and sloppy. Everything I was thinking, I was throwing out, and it was not appropriate and not conducive to a peaceful environment, you know? And so what I had to learn, and this exercise was really interesting. So and again, this is just illusion from being in contact with the big ship. So I'm given the illusion of a room full of people. And then I'm given the direction to think my thoughts to the whole room, which I had no problem with. And then they wanted me to think my thoughts or transmit just to a small group of the people or beings that were there in the room. That was difficult. And then narrowed it down to one being. And the most difficult of all was for me to be able to transmit to myself without any of them picking up on it. And it was really cool because as soon as I'd start transmitting, they'd all go like this. And I know, oh my God, everybody's picking up on this. I need to dial it back. I need to dial it back, right? And that was the most challenging part. And then the second phase of that training was all the same, except this time it was moving parts and things that were a lot more complex. And then in the final stages, it's the beginnings of actual, not language, but communication in complete thought, so that I could communicate concepts or things that I needed or things that were happening. So that was really, really interesting and very, very challenging. So that I spent every day, I spent hours in my room practicing that till I got proficient at it. Now they do have some technology that you can use that helps you to be really good at it right away. And I didn't want that. I wanted to learn how to do it properly, because I've sensed that there will be a time where I will need to communicate that way with beings here on Earth. And I want to be able to do it. I want to have that skill. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. And you're given a buddy. That's the other thing, is when in your orientation you're given a buddy, and it's usually somebody who looks as close as a match of someone on the ship that looks like you, so that you feel more comfortable. And the buddy stays with you 24/7 until you're okay having periods of time on your own. So, you know, it was a very, very inclusive, loving environment. With nothing. I was never afraid, not even for 1 minute. Eventually, as the years went by, even though this was only happening at night and for a 3-month period of time, but in my experience, I eventually was trained as a botanist, and I was involved in the pre-settlement program, where we had trips down to to other planets that had everything except no humanoids. So it had animals, plants, bugs, everything, but no humanoids. And we would just do like an expedition. We would do research, and we would gather information that we would then take back to the big ship. Then it would be reproduced in a holographic imagery, kind of in a classroom. And we would talk about ways that this planet could have people emigrate without screwing up the biosystems or the ecosystems, which is really important to our ET brothers, sisters, and cousins. And then I got to visit a couple of settlements where they had been resettled, and I visited a low-tech settlement and a high-tech settlement. They were completely different. The high-tech settlement was on a water world, and the other one was very tropical, the low tech. Like, you can choose the level of tech. If you're ever going to be, evacuated and taken to another planet, you get to choose the level of technology that you want to have there. Everybody on that specific world agrees to the same level of technology. So you don't have high tech and low tech all on the same planet. But anyway, so there was all that. And oh my God, I loved it. And I loved all the beings very much.
Did you
And
name
there's,
planets by chance?
pardon?
Did you get the names of the planets that you visited?
No, and the beings don't have species names or anything like that. See, on the big ship, a lot of these beings were born onto the big ship. There are a lot of beings that never live on planets. They live in these huge, giant ecosystems that are on these living big ships, and they're huge. They're like the size of the biggest city we could imagine on Earth. Some are even bigger, like the size of planets, and they're contained. And there's no concept for racism. People fall in love and they actually have children the old-fashioned way. They don't do cloning. They also live much longer than us. They reproduce within the first 100 years, and after that, they become very spiritually evolved. But most beings live to 500 years, even longer, and until they're ready to move on into a different form. And people immigrate from different worlds, and they leave and go to different worlds, and there's no problem with people from completely different, maybe even galaxies, being able to come together and procreate and produce children. So there's a lot of mixing, and
yeah, it depends on species. It depends on their body. Some beings don't have bodies, some beings have bodies, some beings.
No, these guys are all very close to us, very close to us.
That you were studying with particularly?
No, the whole ship, from what I understand and from what I learned, they're all very close to us. Now, some of them, I guess the weird part is some have what you would call internal genitalia and some have external genitalia. And so the beings that have internal genitalia, their genitalia becomes external at the point where they're wanting to make a baby, but otherwise it's internal. So that was pretty interesting. And there's also, like, we have every day, the sort of routine for the whole ship every day, after everybody wakes up, not everybody sleeps and wakes at the same time. And of course, there's no morning or evening, there's no sun, so you don't have, the same cycles as here, but we do keep cycles. But anyway, we have a communal bath, and they're not shy at all. Everybody is naked in the communal bath. It's not forbidden. The other thing is there are other things. So people can have sex with each other, of course, to produce offspring, but there's other forms of what we might call sex that have nothing to do with sex. For instance, there is a mind-to-mind connection that people can have, and they can arouse each other and satisfy each other that way. There's also a heart-to-heart connection, which is very almost spiritual, where they're able to build up energy and share it with each other. And it gives a sensation very much like an orgasm. Sorry for talking about sex on your show, but this is how it is on the big ship.
The Adult Swim hour. Everybody knows.
Okay, good.
You can express on this program are those of me and the guests, and not of the radio station. So I don't really care about what they think.
Okay.
Negative. Please proceed. Let's talk about sex.
and if your parents let you watch my channel, that's your own damn fault. So.
Yeah, but there was no cloning of babies. But the other thing that's really interesting is, depending on the culture that individuals and groups subscribe to, they had different mating rituals. So for instance, one thing that I thought was really interesting, I got invited to quite a few of these, before they actually do the act of getting impregnated, there is like ceremony. So for instance, some of the beings, they do like an erotic dance with each other, and it has to be done just perfectly the right way for the woman to then be, the female, I guess, rather than woman, for her to be able to conceive. And so it's like sacred ritual, but it's also like dance. I thought that was really interesting. There's all different kinds of cultures, what they bring with them from their culture of origin, from their planets of origin. You know, and yeah, so it was just, there's so much. I'm writing a book, so after we get the Quantum Health Transformation 3.0 out and ready and finished, I'm going to get back to working on my book. I got it about 3/4 finished, but I want to finish it and get it published so that people can read, because there's so much information. It's like impossible to cover in a 1-hour show.
Wow, pretty amazing. And I always like hearing about people's experiences on ships and stuff. You know, that's why when I started doing my sessions, I was super excited when we came up with the Cosmic Crusaders. And just like you, I get these download dumps and I don't know where they come from. And so, you know, I got this message that I was supposed to start a school, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, a school? You want me to start a school? Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to come to me? No one's going to listen to me. They don't listen to me now. And they're like, don't worry, start the school. And so I was like, well, what am I going to call it? And they said stars. And then the next day they gave me what it meant. And I was like, okay, spiritual techniques, Ascension Rising School. But I was like, but I want to have an academy. And then later I had the branch, Cosmic Crusaders Academy, and I got my space cadets. And so now, you know, we travel on spaceships and we meet aliens and we, you know, we do all this stuff. The funny thing is, listening to you talk about how everything happened for you, one of the things on my awakening journey that I prayed for and fasted for 5 months, talk about eating properly and, you know, all of that. I fasted for 5 months and I asked for heart discernment, because even though I know when people's lying to me, I was still getting tricked. And so I had prayed for heart discernment, and then I got it. And then I said, I was like, well, do I want X-ray vision or do I want telepathy? I said, I think I'll go with telepathy. I should ask for X-ray vision, because now that I'm an empath, psychic, and I have telepathic connections, it drives me crazy, because now I know how people feel and think, you know? And I'm like, man, I kind of like living in oblivion and not knowing what people think. But I've communicated with my dog telepathic. I've had communications with animals telepathic. I've taught people how to have telepathic connections. I've actually practiced with 2 of my friends. We did this exercise and we did it, and he read my mind. And it was amazing. So I feel like everybody has these abilities. You just have to keep practicing. And so I asked the angels, like, you know, does everybody have these abilities? And they say, the more you do these every day, ritualistically, take the time out, wake up early, spend time to meditate, take care of your mind, body, and soul first, you will be blessed with these gifts. These gifts will start to get stronger. You will start to awaken. And it's crazy. It is so crazy, right? And so it is nice to hear that other people have these experiences, because, you know, I used to be the only crazy one out there. And now I'm like, where are the weirdos at? I'm over here. Like, let's get weird, right? Like, Chris, let's talk about the stuff that makes everybody run. When I sit down with my in-laws and I talk about stuff, they scatter like flies. They scatter like flies. They run from me. They're like, don't start.
But I think the more we speak our truth, the more we attract people, hear it, and they go, oh, wow, I want to be friends with that person. And like, I have a great online community. I don't have much of a community in my physical area where I live in my neighborhood, but I have a great online community of people I love so much. And we get to just be ourselves and talk crazy all we want. And it's wonderful. In fact, we encourage each other, and it's wonderful. It's so much better than the other way. I don't ever want to go back.
No, you reach a certain point, and I don't think you can. And one of the ones, because like when after Maya did my first regression, of course, I was like, okay, who was that lady that just played with my head, right? So I went back and checked on her YouTube and looked in a little further into who had just regressed me and whatnot. And it's funny because right around the time when I started having the nightmares, Maya had a YouTube post putting a call out to the 144 that Dolores Cannon references. It was within days that I had reached my breaking point and contacted Rob and got put in contact with Maya. She put the call in, and I finally went, yeah, I need to get up. Somebody's called me, and we've been going since.
Yeah.
So
there's no looking back. There's no looking
Like
back.
I said, everybody calls me the crazy lady. You see?
I don't think you're crazy, and I don't think either one of you is crazy at all.
No, I mean, this is crazy stuff because people that are living in the Matrix, they don't believe this stuff is possible. You know,
Yeah,
they
but
don't.
too bad for them. They're missing out big time.
Tough.
Spinja and I love this story. Maya was having a moment of panic in a Walmart parking lot, and we were on the phone with her when this situation was going down around her. And I described the color of her vehicle and the trim on it and where she was parked. And then Spinja was like, yeah, by the cart corral this far over. And Maya's just sitting there on the other end of the phone going, it's like, yeah, we can see you. We got you. You're okay. That's over there. Right. And it was literally like, we panicked, went into this state of, we need to be able to see her now. And we could. And, 8 months ago, that would have sounded crazy to me. But I've Frankie Fearless in private conversations, like, you're being fast tracked, buddy. I could tell you what you are, but I'm not allowed to. But you're being fast tracked for something. And I get what he means, because I'm coming into abilities where Maya's even like, how did you do what? Like, what is going on? I've channeled her deceased father. Her mother cracks jokes through me the odd time. I'm in touch with Archangel Gabriel. Sometimes I let about 10% of my consciousness check out, and I'm actually talking to Arcturians while I'm having a real world conversation, right?
Wait, his higher self is Archangel Gabriel. Let's get that straight. That's how powerful we got our team. His higher self. I've like Archangel Gabriel. Can I speak to you right now? No, I'm joking. But you know what I mean? Like, it just comes. And dude, if you hear the difference of the speech changes, like your speech changed so much, Dawn, in that session.
Spin and I were talking, like, I was on the inside of me, and I'm sorry to take away from this interview, and I'll do it quick. Like, there was one point where he laid over top of me and enveloped my existence that was in the astral in his angelic form, and we became one, and I was basically just sitting inside of him. And as Angel Lori was explaining that I was wrapping my wings, I could see myself leaning over, kissing Spinja on the head. And when he was done, he was done. He peeled up out of me like a fruit roll-up. Like, I physically felt it. Like, I was like, what the hell was that? Right? And I remember that was like the first thing I asked her is like, if you can go back and look when I came out, because I felt him leave and it felt like I moved.
Yeah, I bet.
And this is in a 6-month span of my belief in the paranormal. 6 months ago was, yeah, ghosts are probably real. I think I saw a UFO once, and aliens probably. That's what I knew.
Right. Yeah, you're on the fast track too. Like, people who are just now waking up and have a wealth of knowledge, like, that blows my mind. It blows my mind, like my psychic abilities, my clairs are open, but I'm also, I saw a portal open at 3 years old. I'm not really ready for that at 48. I'm like, I'll deal with everything else. I got my peeps, they can see for me. Like, I don't know if I can handle my own shadow these days. You know what I mean? That's my last step. I'm gonna wait. I got time. I'm gonna wait. You know what I mean? Like, are you able to see things, Karen? Do you see stuff like throughout the day? Are you able to see things or anything?
Yes and no. I used to be able to see things, but I got so used to my reality being unusual that became my normal. And I don't spend a lot of time around other people, actually. I spend very little time around other people. I have 2 cats who, they see even more than I do. And it's just normal for me. It's just how my world is just different. And and I won't expose myself to ridicule or to unbelievers and all of that. There's nothing wrong with those people. I mean, they're just not ready yet. But I don't want to. I don't know. I love being on my own, and I love being in the company of my guides. I can communicate all the time. Nothing is hidden from them. It's not like I have to go and pray in order to communicate. My every thought and action and word is a prayer. I'm in communion all the time, right? So it's a very different approach to life. And I just love it so much. I just love it so much.
Me too. What a wonderful times it is. Even though I wake up like another day, I'm like, well, better be better this day than 20 years ago.
No, and don't get me wrong, Karen, with the transdimensional existence that you and I have in common, I totally can get the days that you wake up and you're like, crap, I'm here. Like, because there's times like for me, I'll be in another existence and my family is there as well. And we're living the way and by the means that we want to. And I don't know if it's future, parallel, or what, but there's times when I get to experience it and then I wake up from it and it's like, son of a bitch. I'm like, why?
Yeah. Well, I have dreams that I'm on spaceships and I'm looking at the skies opening up and I have a team and I'm in a different spaceship every other day. And sometimes it's just like, whoa. And I know I'm living multiple lives. I'm a very lucid dreamer. And the one time that cracked me up is I was getting on a ship and it was a small, tight ship, kind of like a rocket ship type of ship, but it was a spaceship. And we were getting ready to travel and everybody was getting on. And I remember the people talking to me. My friend was talking to me and we sat down and I said, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this. Like I got to travel through a portal. And as I'm like panicking, I see the portal open up and she looks at me and she touches me and she's like, you've done this before. You're going to be fine. And I calmed down. And next thing I know, it was happening. But I remember feeling it and having the panic attack in my dream because I'm like looking, I see all kinds of stuff. Another time we'll talk about dreams because I could tell you kinds of crazy stuff that happens in my dreams. Insane.
Just before we get too far in and we don't get to it, you also do health coaching and sell organ generators. And my personal testimony is Karen hooked my ass up, right? And
I saw that.
Our oldest dog, who has hip dysplasia and pain issues, since the day I put the bigger generator at the end of the bed, he specifically sleeps head first facing that generator and just soaking it in. And it's not every time, but it's often. He will pop up from sleeping there like a friggin' puppy and start playing with the puppy. And usually he's just a sour old crank. So I can even see the dog's physiological change. So if you can tell them about these awesome inventions.
Okay, well, I didn't invent them, but sorry.
As well, Karen, also leave your links as well. This is a good time to also give all your plugs.
Okay, so I'll just say I'm available on Rumble and Odyssey and YouTube, KarenHoltonTV. And my website is www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. And my name is spelled KarenHolton, healthcoach.com. So just remember Karen Holton. And my show, the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton, is available on all audio podcasts. So, yeah, I was having a lot of, I'm very energy sensitive, and every time I got on the computer, or anytime I would go to a store that sells a lot of technology or has a internal security system, an electronic security system, I could feel it in my body, and it gave me some very unpleasant sensations and left me feeling really tired. And I don't know how, but my guides just said, you need to do some research on organite. And I started doing some research on organite and found out about the history of it and how it's made and everything. And I went, oh my gosh, I need to get myself some of this. So I didn't know where to get it. So my brother, who's an artist, actually made me some, and I felt an immediate difference. And then I started selling them. My brand name is Zen Domes Organite. And I started selling them on Etsy, and then I left Etsy to create my own website and sell direct from there. And I don't have a lot of them left, but because the person who made them for me, I designed them and a friend of mine made them for me. He's not making them anymore. I haven't found someone new to make them. Excuse me.
You know, they're not hard to make, Karen.
Oh,
I
I know, but I
I
live in a very
cold.
cold climate, and you need really a warm climate, and you also need a place that's not inside your home to make them, because there is an unpleasant odor to them while they cure. But anyway, long story short, but I've had the most amazing testimonies from people who have bought my orgone generators, and they really seem to help people in a spiritual and emotional way, which I can't even explain. But I wanted to get back to the Etsy thing. So anyway, Etsy stole my brand name. So if you go into Google and you put in Zen Domes Organite, you will get Etsy's category with everyone who makes organite on Etsy. So they stole my brand name, and I don't have a lot of money to buy a lawyer, pay for a lawyer, so I just let it go. And but they really, my brand you can only get through my website, just so that people know that. And I have different specials all the time, and then with the money I make from the orgone generators, that pays for all the expenses for me to have YouTube channels and the software and things I need for creating the quantum health transformation program, and that helps cover my expenses. So I really appreciate it when people visit my shop. And I also have some services. I help people, give them support. So if people have had paranormal experiences that they're not 100% comfortable with, or they've had what they may perceive as extraterrestrial abduction or anything like that, I offer all kinds of outside of the box services where basically I meet with people on Zoom, counsel them, support them, validate them, that kind of thing. And so that's also available through my website.
Wonderful.
I also wanted to mention, Dawn, that amethyst is very good for dogs and cats. It's very, very soothing. And I believe the orgone generator that your dog is attracted to is the one with the black tourmaline on the bottom and the amethyst on the top. And
Yes.
that's part of it. So yeah, they really like amethyst a lot.
Yeah,
That's
get
awesome.
you this crystal and rub it over the hips. One of them had bad hips, right?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, it'll transmute it. You program the crystal, and then I forgot to do that yesterday. Anyways, we'll talk. Thank you, Karen, for joining us. This was an amazing show. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dawn, for bringing her on. DJ Pooh Bear, sorry.
Everybody knows my name anyway.
I know, I was thinking, the Dawn, DJ Pooh Bear,
Well, if you go with the shirt printing company, I am the Don.
Don Juan. So beautiful. Well, I hope everybody, I'm going to put all the links in my YouTube channel. So everything will be there. This will be on wvew.org's archives for 2 weeks after I broadcast it. And so, you know, people will reach you. I hope they contact you and let them know that, let everybody know you heard it from the Mad Chatter Show. Let them know, let them know. All right, Karen, well, thank you so much. I'm going to
Thank
stop the
you.
recording now. We can hang on just a minute. So,
It's been a
Adon, do you want
pleasure.
to say anything? Any last words before we hang up? With the group,
Just
with the radio?
it's been a pleasure to be here and to hang with you guys. It's a real privilege. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, all right. And here we go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.